Ready, Gary?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Meeting is called to order. Gary's gonna do roll. Everybody's here, not plays of its routine. Our first issue is the high school chiller structural changes.
Sure. Sure. All right. So with me this evening, I have Kirk and Chad from KP Builders. Kirk is a professional engineer. He's the individual who helped, both individuals who helped uncover the challenge that we're facing regarding the placing the chiller up onto the roof. I'm really going to turn it over to Kirk and Chad to talk about, and Joe to talk about the situation, how it exists. I can tell you that we developed the scope of work for the chiller, installing it up there based upon the blueprints that the district provided us. And then I'll let these guys talk about the comparisons of the blueprints versus what actually is there. So I'll turn it over to these guys to talk.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown from a project. My name is Joe Marion. I'm the project manager for ABM.
I apologize for introducing Joe.
So how this came to be, guys, and thank you for your time. As we had started into this process of the chiller being, the new air-cooled chiller being installed on the roof of the high school, you currently, or you previously had a cooling tower with a water-cooled machine for energy and the sake of age and energy purposes. It was decided to go through with what we call an air-cooled machine. It's one self-contained unit. There's pictures of where this machine would be up on the roof. As we dove into the beginning of this with Chad, about a year ago, looking at development, we pulled prints. We looked at the facility, we looked at their ceilings, we looked underneath ceilings, drop ceilings, at the roof, the whole 9 yards, based on the prints that we had at the time that were in the high school. The roof and the structures and the beams and the way the roof is laid out. We operated off of that to develop a plan to set the new chiller on the roof. Meaning we had to straddle some beams, we had to, set some steel, a lot of planning going into this. And then obviously we had an engineering firm or Kirk's firm come in, take a look at this and say, okay, we're going to structurally stamp this. This is what we're going to do. This is going to be safe, the whole 9 yards. So that's what we worked off of. So as we began this process in the spring, getting the old machines off the roof, the new machines prepped, we started at that point then doing exploratory surgery, if you will, cutting into the roof in several sections to ensure that we were going to be able to straddle the beams. And looking to see what's on the roof decking because we were going to set obviously the new chiller and the beams on that decking. When Chad and his crew started to do their surgery, so to speak, it was found that the beams that we anticipated based on the drawings were not in the locations, the structural support beams, and Kirk kind of talk more to that from a technical term, but they weren't where we anticipated. To kind of do some digging into this, getting down into the classroom that's adjacent to the roof there on the second floor, us going down below and looking and pulling some ceiling tiles and looking underneath even further in areas that, we felt, where is this leading us? Because these prints are wrong and this beam is here, then how's that affecting what's going on? So as Chad's team started looking into this even more, we recognized where these beams were. If anybody's familiar with the second floor of the high school, where I guess the new meets the old or however this section is, you can see you have cracks in the terrazzo along the hallway, okay? Quite a few coming out of some of the classrooms or the large group instruction rooms. And that kind of pointed these guys in a direction, hey, something's not quite kosher here. So once we figured that out, Kirk came down and got involved. With myself and, my.
Stop for 1 second, please. Sure. I have a question. Sandy, you're aware of these cracks, but they've been there for years, right?
They've been there ever since I've been here.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I just want everybody to realize, and the reason I wanted to reference that, move this a little bit further in here. We have an issue with the middle school with some terrazzo cracks. That's not the same issue as this, so I don't want people to confuse that. okay? And these issues, again, have had to have happened 30 years ago maybe, okay? Because that addition has not been, was put on,
98.
yeah, a long time ago. So, okay, I just wanted everybody to make sure we were all on the same page, that they understood that these cracks were not the same cracks that we've discussed at other times.
Right, so that led Kirk and his team, and I'm gonna turn it over to Kirk now to kind of explain what he found, why it's doing what it's doing, and what the effect is on us and the ability to put the chiller up on the roof, so he can speak a little more, so I'll turn it over to Kirk for that.
Okay, but they don't. As long as no one else is offended, you know.
Thank you guys for your time. So you're actually very correct. So the failure that you see up there probably happened within the first week, realistically. The beam is 2 foot off where it's supposed to be. So you get the rotational, it's here, you're torquing it instantaneously. And then the second thing that didn't get addressed in some of this is you have concrete on it. So in the area, probably where the old chiller was, so I'm assuming that this is the third chiller replacement, just based on time, or some point. There was beams that we took out, and then the second, but the pad itself. So someone thought that with the concrete on, someone is just isolated with that insulation. So you put a lot of extra effort in there, but doing that, put a lot of extra weight. So you're putting the beam at 98%. 98% is not failure, but it's going to sag. Okay, so it's allowed to deflect almost an inch. That crack that you happen probably happened just they loaded it all up, put everything on there, and as it was curing, within the first year, there's some movement and everything else, it probably sat and cracked. But you're at 98%. So that beam now has an extra load that no one anticipated. One, because it's offset, and two, because of the concrete. So like a compound load on top of it, pushing down the beam, pushing it this way. So the solution that we came up with, we don't want, and we do everything independent. We have a third party engineer beside myself, and people's quality goes through this and evaluates it. So it's not just our company. We decided to put it columns. The solution company was to put columns, dig down, put a spread foot in, all the way down to the base of the bottom floor, 5x5 spread foot, and bring that up. Be able to pick put 3 columns up, and then 2 that pick up the wall. Most of the question inside there. One, once the minute you cut it, you cut the span in half, or we cut the base in thirds. Once you cut that, you relieve the 98%. I'm not here, we're not going to fix it, we're going to keep it from getting worse. So by putting a chill on it, we would vote. So we can't have that. So the solution is to bring it all the way down to the footing, park the footings up, bring it back up, pick up the load that's where it is, but don't adjust it, just leave it where it is, and then also pick up on 2 new beams of chemical also. And bring it down. That solution provides security, that you can say, your situation, like, it's not going to collapse as it's safe, but if we would put the extra weight on it. And that beam was not supposed to be, where we could put right on that. If you look at the set of prints, there's about 3 misses in the prints that affect at least, that was the third post. The one beam became smaller than it should be. Again, there may have been some value engineering and the construction process was going on. The 2 foot miss, that's just misplaced. Increase in value engineering, because no one anticipating that, hey, look, that this beam could be a little bit lighter, it may not need to be used. But the one is missing. I'm happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Is it possible that, this isn't helping, but I'm just curious because I'm new to this committee and haven't been involved much. Were you given original prints of the original construction of the building? Or were you given prints from the last rehabilitation of the building?
We have both sets. Right? Yeah, we have both sets are going through there, and the beam was off.
In both prints?
I'm not sure if I didn't get confused, but yeah.
It appears
It appears, yeah.
that the drawings, the original drawings and the as-bills that they have should reflect the same drawing so sometimes what happens, you get prints from the architect during the construction process. You don't build it for that reason. You submit something, there's a reason that you change whatever that drawing is. But then when the as-bills get presented at the end of the process, that change is shown in the drawings. Does not appear in this situation that happened.
I guess what I'm asking is, so the beams here, it looks like there's a classroom over top of it, and the chiller supposed to go here, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Was this classroom, did this classroom exist all the time, or was this added on at some point in time? And this was originally a flat roof where the chiller could have sat originally?
Not reflective. Yes, the 2 foot meant it could have been at any given time.
Like where they add a room, and the room's prints were off, therefore I'm making that beam appear 2 feet off, but it's actually the room over, went past the original beam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's probably a process that happened, and to Gary's point, there are no as-built drawings.
For additions,
Right, so there's no and so if that mistake was there, the second person can get it too. So
because I can't believe that the structural steel beam is off during original construction. Like that sounds hard for me to fathom.
no, it can happen. I mean, again, you don't know the whole process. Maybe there was something there, maybe there was, some reason that happened, but it wasn't recorded. And the only way we could find it and uncover it is to take the roof off and realize, hey, this beam's not where it's supposed to be. Now what happens? You take a measurement, pull it back in. Hey, this beam's 2 foot off where it's supposed to be. There's no way to see it from underground. You can't figure out to clear the roof.
Unfortunately, in renovations,
Yeah, I get it.
especially, like I'm saying, if you go to renovate a building now, if the building's been built in the last 20 years, the drawings are usually a little bit better. People, even with as-built, are a little bit better. But if you go back before that, I've been involved in construction projects that you wouldn't believe, like they open up a wall that's completely different than what the drawings show. And the older it is, the worse it is. Here, you would think that, even from being, the original building was built in the 60s, you would think that the technology was a little bit better, but we just don't have the documents like that.
I mean, it's hard for anybody, when you look at it, and the documents, that's essentially viable. You believe it, okay, so I can make this work. And we just didn't take it and verify. We saw beam, okay, beam's here, here's your right, and then walk through it, okay, you have what you have. Until we realize that these things are off. Then you begin to explore further. Yeah, we saw the cracks, like you said. My thought is, they're originally shrinkage crackings. Okay, you look at, see the crack going down. A little bit of shifting when you first build a building addition, that's normal. But when you look at it, start walking down the wall, and you see that crack that goes right across it, and then go backwards, okay, 2 foot off, like and they load up 98%. So, a beam, it's not failing, and steel, most people don't realize that steel will give and flex. It won't fail, it will sag, and it's allowed to. And that's part of some of the design of it. So it's allowed to give, that's what you have. And I think that crack, like, it may have happened the first year out, may have happened, but it happened relatively soon because that's when the loading happened. And it really wasn't even cause it. Like, realistically, we're losing some of that, but not all of it. But taking off, and we'll stop it, we'll prevent it from getting worse.
So, I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Just so I understand, this remedy, you're going through the building into the foundation. You're basically creating
We're creating
a foundation and a column that's gonna then go up under that beam.
Yes, sir.
That's under 98%. So you're going through, is it another one ceiling
Yes.
into the, basically a
So we have to drill down right through for the footing, and so with it, so there's a lot of, we're and it's I have to pump the concrete into the holes, we have to cut it inside your classroom. It's almost surgical to do it out.
What other alternatives were explored other than that?
We explored trying to brace off some sort of different steel. There really wasn't any other place to take it down simply. If anything else would cost more money. So that was the most cost-effective way. The resultant is you're going to have columns, and we can build a wall around it, but you're going to have columns in this house. That's the result. We looked at how we need to build shelves, some closet in there to hide it. That's perfectly fine, and we're willing to do that. But you need to have the column down there. We looked at 11 or 12 different options around there to find a different way to do that. The only other options, but so there's somewhere terribly far away.
For all these columns, when they get installed, they're not gonna be in the middle of the room, they'll be on against the wall, like in this corner against the wall.
Well, they're gonna stick out. They're gonna be in the room, but they're off the wall. But they're gonna be out about three plus or minus, they're gonna be around on that.
And two of them be about 3 feet away from the wall, and one class, health class. And the, I think it's 145, the other house, the health classroom is, there's only one column down in there. It's gonna be about 2 foot off the wall, just be a little
Are
column.
they in that cafeteria hallway, the two classrooms?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's on
Well,
both of
Well,
them
you
or
go
just
through the
one?
cafeteria hallway, you go out in the main entrance on the other side.
Oh, the D101.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh,
That
I
one,
think that visually from the outside, I would have never guessed it was in there, to be honest with you.
So D101, and what's the other one?
I want to say 101.
it's 47.
I'm trying to find it. I got the classroom number.
Probably C104.
Why does that ring a bell? You might be right, Tom. D101 is definitely the one. Is that the one where we were first in, right? I believe that was. the
Yeah,
first one.
with all your categories.
I mean, it's really not that important, I'm just trying to visualize.
So the question I have is, so you're gonna be going, they're gonna be going down from the first floor up to reinforce everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's why I wanted to make sure.
Are you touching that beam at all? The one that's 98%?
We're gonna pick up with an L bracket, just,
Okay.
so we're gonna pick it up. Just on the.
I mean, just so the first floor, the floor's cracked on the first floor and the floor's cracked on the second floor too? Is the floor cracked on both floors?
No, the floor don't
First
crack.
floor doesn't have stress.
Yeah.
No stress, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, sir. I'm here to
What
make
was the answer to that? Which floor?
second,
It's cracked.
Second
Yes.
floor's
and that's because of your load,
I
right?
asked a dumb question. Why does the chiller have to go on the roof?
Noise?
cracked.
You'll probably have neighbors complaining about the noise associated with the chiller running. They're not
Noise
quiet.
and then visual, like if you, unless you put
Yeah,
it,
but I see generators behind like fences. You don't know they're there. They're green fence. There's a generator there.
right, so part of that too is where your existing chilled water system was is the most logical tie-in point for the new chilled water
Yeah,
system.
makes sense.
So when you're looking to develop these projects, you want to be as economical, obvious, as you can. So taking a chiller and saying, okay, we're going to put it on the ground when the chilled water tie-in and the pumps and existing, infrastructure to get the chilled water pipe through the facility is right here. Now I'm going to say, oh, well, heck, we're just going to add another 1,000 man hours of piping and another, 1,000 feet of pipe. And that starts to become cost prohibitive.
Well, it's a dumb
So-
question, but I had that.
No, but yeah, no, understandably.
Yeah, I want to ask for your stuff's over there. It's been.
Yeah,
this is
I
the third
assume that's
revision
why
of
it was on the roof.
Yeah. So, it's paying and moving becomes.
So you have to tear out the slab on the first floor, and then there's ground right underneath there, that's not basement under there, is it? You know?
Yeah, no, we found, it should be, yeah, we're hoping the ground.
They gotta be ground on the edge of that.
You're right, Doc, it is. So we thought it might go all the way down to the basement area where the batting cages and so
Yeah.
forth, but it doesn't.
Wow, you got lucky there.
Yep,
We got lucky, I shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You got it.
We got lucky. And we're hoping the soil's good. I mean, we get down in the soil, we'll address it, but we're seeing this. And that's the idea to spread, to make it a little bit bigger than it normally would be, just to make sure in case some of that soil is not great. And that's fine. I mean, it's unfortunate, it's a hidden condition that you can't see them until you tear it apart. There's some of that, it's not uncommon, but, you hope it doesn't happen in this situation. It's much different than it should be. I mean, I'm happy to answer any question. I want you guys to feel comfortable with the solution. Essentially, we'll just, do it. It's like this. Here's the chiller up top. Essentially, we have two posts, and this end of the chiller up, and then the beam is failing right there. We're gonna keep it from moving. I'm not gonna address it. In our world, I'm not taking a line, I'm just making so it doesn't get worse.
What does that mean?
That means I don't want to take the liability of your existing problem. I'm going to stop.
It'll support the chillers we want to put in, you'll be able to support them, there will be no problems with them being up on the roof, because all the ductwork's in the ceiling of the gymnasium, and it's easier to put the chiller down and tie it, because it's in the ceiling. But by them putting this beam in the wall mirror, it'll have, down the road, it'll be more than enough to support everything up on the roof. It won't overload what's there already.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna keep,
If you put in, it'll collapse if you put it in as is, but us putting in this new beam and then them reinforcing everything even down the road. If the load support will go down to 72%, there's more than enough leeway there for in the future, we should wanna do anything else. There will be enough there to support anything in the future.
as long as home.
As long as it's within that.
I mean, you'll have that, we'll give you the engineering calculations, what we've done, okay, and you'll have an as-built, so you know what it's.
I was gonna say, you can give us drawings?
Absolutely, yes, you're gonna have that, yeah, we're gonna give it to you, so this is what we did.
Do they need formal approval for this, or is this just like informative of them telling?
I think this is still, I mean, the board's gonna need to, the full board's gonna need to make a decision.
Yeah, this is an added expense, right?
This is, and that's gonna be, again, I'm gonna ask Richard this question. Richard, I have board members asking me why this is the district's responsibility and not ABM's.
This was based, we developed this, if this was ABM's problem, I would gladly address it for you guys, but this is the structural design that we put together based upon your drawings. So I have to have a starting point to begin from, and if the information that I'm giving is erroneous, then what I have downstream from there is going to be erroneous.
Do you run into this a lot?
I don't, this is the first time I've run into a structural thing like this, but Kirk deals with this more frequently than I do.
Structural issues, you know, occasionally do come up with new to old, so that does happen.
Do you have contingency in your bids?
In terms of if anything else happens on this,
Yeah.
no, I don't have any individual contingency.
So when you bid out a big contract like this, there's no 10% contingency
I have
for unforeseen.
there are some times where clients will ask us to do something that's gonna cost a little bit more. I don't have 10% contingency, and I certainly don't have enough to cover this. Now, we do owe the district $46,000 as a result of the district handling the fences at the stadium that were part of our original scope. So that would offset, if you guys chose to use that credit toward this, that would offset this. But I haven't applied that because that's not my decision, that's the district's decision. If you chose to go
Whenever
for
we gave you the drawings, you were assuming everything was where it was supposed to be. It's
The
like
drawings
the
are
beams,
accurate.
you were assuming the drawings were accurate, the beams, everything inside our building, or one beam, from what I understand, was not where it was supposed to be. This would not be up to ABM to pay for this. It's our existing structures that, the beams, we found out after the bid that one of the beams or this other work was needed because the support was not there to hold the chillers.
And you couldn't,
Where they were supposed to be.
and for Kurt, you can't even see this if you look up from the ceiling. We do up into the ceiling when we're looking and developing scope, but this you can't see from, take the ceiling tiles away and get up in there and look. You can't see this.
And he was up in the ceilings. Yeah, the bottom or end was up in the ceiling.
I was up there with all, and when we have, we understand this concept, we've been doing this for, I don't know how many years, but we understand the notion. We're really, so we're pretty mindful that our number's tight, but we go through, it's okay. We're about this, we're about this. We're up in that ceiling, we were up in that ceiling more than one or two times.
I asked a question because I knew the board wanted to know the answer to it.
Listen, it's a fair question. I mean, we don't want to become, it's so far off and so wrong. It's really, when you're off, you have to fix it. I can't make it fail on this one. I won't do that. And I have to fix it. Man, we have to do it right. That's really the only way to do it right. That's the most cost effective. We did research about 11 different ways to do it. Really glad I didn't want the columns into the classrooms. That's what I was trying to do. There's other ways to do it, but once you start doing that, it's really,
How much time do you need to do your piece?
to do our extra piece, we need about an extra 3 weeks, so that's.
All right, well, my question, I guess, would be when Joe, I think it was Joe, said that this was gonna push it out to mid-August, was that starting when?
If we can get the chiller set on the roof by the 1st of August, we should have no problem getting the chiller piped up and operational before school starts. Anything past that is if we.
So if we make this decision in the next 2 weeks, what to do?
Yeah, that's the point.
So now you're getting the 1st of July, They're gonna need 3 weeks. It's
So
gonna
as soon as
cure.
time is of the essence.
Time is definitely of the essence.
Yes.
Now, there's work that I can do up there to kind of prep for the chiller, right? Because in July, we'll probably do some piping in the old mechanical room. And there's pump that we can probably get in. There's things we can do to prep to be very, very fast in setting the chiller, and just connecting the new piping. But without chiller, you know, that final piece is the headache. And obviously, I think school starts on the 24th, if I'm not mistaken, of August. We would like to have it up on the 20th. One, to start driving humidity out of the school, and two, make sure the darn thing works and everything, if there's any crazy hiccups. So I'd love to see the chiller on the roof no later than the 1st of August. I mean, that's drop dead.
And Gary, I'll throw this to you. I mean, I think I know what you're gonna say. What choice do we have?
I mean, yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna put window units in.
there's no other option.
I mean,
I mean, it's unfortunate, and I don't think anyone's real thrilled.
I don't think we're gonna put the
But
old unit
this,
back up there.
again, the board needs to, if there's not 5 people that are gonna approve the 5 board members that are gonna approve that, then it's not getting approved, and we're gonna have to figure something else out.
I mean, that's what,
I don't know how
what
you-
is our other option?
The other option is not.
So, I mean, we have no other option.
Very sweaty. It's already about 100 degrees.
This is your
Well,
most,
we're
this is your most
losing-
cost-effective option.
Pardon me?
They're losing equipment in that server closet.
Well, we have split units in most of the server closets. So they're okay.
They're fun.
So we, again, I think,
Many
I
splits.
think we have a couple of different issues that we need to talk about this evening. This is one of them, and again, unless the board has more questions of them, I think we want to make sure we get to the other issues as well.
I'm happy to answer them. I mean, the way the new unit that might help with it is 27,000. I have to make sure that's towards it. And that's I can do this every day. Again, we base it on a solar fence that, you know, a little bit area.
Is that crane still sitting there?
Yeah.
How's that's gotta be an impact on us?
400 ton.
No, I'm saying
I
financially.
know.
I
It's
mean,
like,
they're
the
just not
crane's
sitting there
like
for free.
400 ton crane.
You're talking the same guy that I'm both. So we're doing a favor to you guys.
Well, we appreciate
What was the total contract for all of the ADMs had in the last couple of years?
17.
Million? And you can't take on $200,000?
Not yet. There's not that much contingency in this. There isn't.
I mean, it's nothing compared to 17 million.
Understood.
I can understand.
I mean, you know, that's where I'm,
I understand.
I'm
I
brand
get
new
it.
to this.
I understand your.
It just seems like it's a drop in the bucket to $17 million, and I don't even know why we're talking about it. That's where I'm coming from. And now we have to vote on it, and we have to wait 2 weeks. I mean, we have a hot high school we're not gonna be able to use, and you can't float $200,000 for something that nobody could have ever foreseen. We couldn't foresee this.
We didn't either. I was based off the
You
breakdown
know,
provided.
I'm not an engineer. I'm new to the board. I'm assuming this. He says it's the first time for you to happen. He says it happens a lot. You
In a
understand?
situation where prints are wrong,
Yeah,
that happens.
a lot.
Does that happen?
So if
In
I
this
was in this
situation-
business, I would be building contingency into my bids to be able to anticipate some additional expense in my part. That's what I would think.
Our expense in our contract isn't that much. If you're putting that together, we have a triple up front. And then, you know, you can't do that.
We-
And I
And then your
appreciate-
price
And I
is
appreciate that.
and significantly higher.
Yeah, we bid this pretty tight, and we go through it and say, okay, this is what it is. What if this happens, what if this happens? But it being off, no. Yeah, I mean, that's just, is that, when something's 2 foot off, typically there's more damage on it.
I'm not discounting that. But I mean, this day and age, in this day right now, given everything that we're having to make decisions on with lost revenue due to the pandemic and everything else that's happening, it's just, timing isn't the best.
Understood.
And so it's sensitive and unfortunate, and I just, I don't know, $17 million, $200,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money. We're gonna have to, you know, the taxpayer's gonna have to freaking pay for this. So,
Again, I'll apologize for that, but
it's
there's
not your fault,
No, it's not. I mean,
but, I don't know, I just felt like there should have been, you know, where other instances, as part of the work that you're doing for us with your Eaton costs,
right now, you're looking at a crane that costs $50,000 a day to sit there to get this done, so we're not, if I pull that from here, you're never gonna see it, I mean, it's gonna take us that much, so I need even cost every day. That's not a joke, and I'm making that happen, because I do a lot of work with Dave, and I don't want you guys trainer, I'm well aware of the situation in the school. I don't like it sitting, there's not doing one bit of good thing. But as you saw how long it takes to bring that and build that together, then if that leaves and comes back, that's double the month. The minute that moves, that's $50,000. It's sitting there. I'm trying to save you guys tremendous amount of money. So I want you, on behalf of the ABM, because we do a lot of work, I'm trying to make this work. This is not something anyone can do. You can look at this, unless you want to pay somebody basically $1 million to re-engineer your building, take every single measurement, cut holes and patch holes and put it back together. Maybe they catch that. Maybe. Again, the prince being that far off, that's a lot. Okay, I've had them, 3/4 of an inch, that's common. 2 feet, no. Okay. And the loading and the cracking you see there, okay, it happened, like I said, probably with anything. I mean, it didn't all of a sudden crack. It got loaded. And that's not, and it's it. So our goal is to make it for the same problem. But as our meeting, what's your last man catch? It's on me. And I have to go.
It's on, yeah, I get it. And you're a subcontractor for ABM?
Yes, sir.
I want to go back to the time element, because again, Joe, you said August 20th. And technically, we're supposed to start teachers August 20th, I believe that Monday.
The 24th is a Thursday, I think, for some reason, it sticks in my head. So, yeah, I mean, I want to have it either done before that.
You're gonna get the chiller up and running, but how about everything that needs to be balanced and all the, every single classroom and all the work that's got to be done? I mean, that doesn't happen overnight.
Right, so, I mean, when I say I want it up and running, I mean, not that we're just finally turning it on. I mean, I want to be making cold water, I want to make sure the unit vents are pumping out cold air, but before that, I want to make it before that. I mean, I think from what my crews on the ground are telling me is if we can get that machine on the roof on the 1st of August, it should be no more than a week, 10 days to get the chiller making cold water. Because there'll be final tie-ins and piping. The electrical will be the biggest piece. But again, they're working on that now, and we'll be starting the piping, the preliminary piping here within about 2 weeks. So it's just a matter of tie-in, but yeah, I don't want to really go past the middle of, to me, drop dead's worst case scenario is, the 20th. I mean, that's not where I want to be. I want this by mid-August. I want this thing on and being exercised.
I have your concern, but that's why that crane is not that. We're pretty much critical mass.
So if we,
Waiting 2 weeks is not helping anybody.
So we should.
Gary, do we have to have a special meeting?
Again, I think if the board is, probably a special meeting would be the best. Even if we just have it, just the whatever issues we have with this construction project, we can schedule one in 2 days, 3 days, by the time we get it in the newspaper. Not sure how long it takes to get advertised at this point. Since we can have them virtually, it could be a 5-minute meeting, 2 motions, doesn't have to be the whole agenda. Whatever the motions we need to, this being one of them, possibly some other ones that we need to discuss, and then that's it. Okay, I would recommend we do it that way.
I would certainly appreciate it, so I know the timeline, the timeline.
That was gonna be my recommendation. I mean, I think there were concerns at the last meeting about a couple of different things that have been discussed. And my only reason, normally I'm willing to take the onus if I can see that the board wants to get something done to, make those things happen. Unfortunately, with this construction, I think that people have been here over a couple issues. Various board members have had concerns over various issues. I feel more comfortable with having a meeting just to cover those couple actions.
Anybody have any questions?
And we're lucky we got started early.
Yes, sir. You were clear. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's a pretty big change. It's pretty difficult to do. And it's not easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone more questions about?
I don't think of that, but I'm not sure what else, if you.
I think wanted to talk about the fans.
Yeah, that's the other, I guess there was a couple different issues, that's the next one.
So the ceiling fans over in Homeville were scheduled as part of the contract to be demoed and removed. As part of that process, we did begin the demo process. Power has been cut to those fans. Some of those fans, some of them have the structural supports there. Some of them don't have the structural supports holding those fans, and so the ceiling tile is holding them. To get power back to them and have, which Joe can explain the details in terms of what's going to happen. It's going to not only cost from all over again to put power to something that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Originally, these fans in the program were supposed to all come out,
That's correct.
and then you got direction not to take them out, correct?
We were taking them out, and then our contractor was asked to stop.
I
Dr. Hoover asked me about it.
I'm not trying to blame any, I want all the board members to know, because what has come to me is, well, who makes these decisions? So the only reason I'm not trying to blame anybody, I want everybody to understand, originally, these were coming out because they were part of the inner safety project for various reasons. I need Richard to explain that, because I don't think that you can make a valid decision on what is right or wrong unless you know why they were coming out originally.
So if we continue demoing it, there's no change order, and you keep the guarantee. The impact from a guarantee perspective is $60,000, $67,000 over 15 years.
A savings to the district.
Savings to the district, right? So the guarantee will be shortened by $67,000 over a 15-year period. If you tell us to continue the demo, there's no change orders associated with it at all. We continue going with the current scope. I don't think personally you need them.
How many,
100 and
how many rooms have already been demoed?
2. Well, let's put it this way. How this broke out was, as we all, said per the contract, the fans were to come out because you're getting air conditioning in each and every classroom. The air fans were in there to keep air moving, and obviously that was kind of no air conditioning, so at least you had some air movement. As the project progressed, the electricians started in Homeville. They were running power for various air conditioning ads in there. They owned the piece that was removing the power and the wire in the ceiling for the fans. And then another company owned actually removing the fans, and it was a demo company, was responsible for removing the fans and taking them out of the ceilings and taking them out of the building. When they were doing the electrical work, I don't want to call it a phase, but as they were doing the electrical work in the ceilings, they subsequently removed that power a few months ago because the fans were slated to come out. Then in early May, the gentleman came in to take the fans out. That's when we were asked to stop. We said, fine, we can do that. However, the power to the fans is gone, so they're kind of useless now. They're just sitting there with no power to them. They're still, so there's 2 rooms that actually have the fans taken down, but that's not the big part. That's not really the headache. Your headache is you don't have any wire in the building anymore going from fan to fan to fan.
All the
They
wires.
were all taken out as part of the demo process.
So that's where this 48,000.
So to put all 106 fans back with power, all new copper, all new, whatever they gotta run, and the labor to do that over the course of probably a month, and add a few, we thought it was a lot more. There was initially, we thought that none of the boxes had none of the fans met code. We were concerned that they were just hanging by the ceiling tiles. Some are that way, some of their boxes will need change, but not many. I did a walkthrough and found out most of them are actually supported the way they're supposed to be supported. The guy who walked this job initially was a field electrician, and he kind of looked at 1 or 2 and he didn't look at the whole job. So I kind of went back out and verified that. So you don't have as many to mess with. You really just have to put the wires back to it. But I will reiterate what Richard's saying. You guys can make whatever decision you want. With the new fan coil units or unit vents that are going in, with the fact that you'll have air conditioning, you'll have outside, some outside air coming in as need be. The fans can be left to run. They're energy efficient fans, motors in the units. I just see it as kind of I don't want to call it a waste, but $67,000 you really don't have to spend over the next 15 years to run fans that you're going to have air conditioning in the space. But that's, of course, you guys' decision. We just hate to see that money spent for you guys to put them in, but we'll gladly do whatever you want. I mean, I get it. The fans have been there for years and people are kind of used to them, but from an energy standpoint, from a construction standpoint, from a business standpoint, my opinion as well as Richard's, we hate to see you spend that money. But you guys make the final call. We'll do whatever you want us to do. We have no problem.
With the new HVAC system being put in, within the school on both floors, are they really needed to help circulate the air within the building or do anything?
I get there could be times, throughout the year where you're not maybe running the air conditioning and you want to have the fans on. I understand that completely. With the fact that you have the unit vents and you can leave them on in the classroom and circulate. There's new controls on them now and circulate what you have as far as air or bring some fresh outside air in. But it's what people are used to. I get it. So is it a must to have? Are people going to sweat or freeze to death without the fans? No. They're going to have conditioned air. But again, people are used to what they're used to. I completely understand. So we'll do, like I said, we'll do whatever you need us to do.
Why did we stop? What was the reason to stop pulling fans out?
Why was the reason? But you have ceiling fans in your home.
Yeah.
Why do you have ceiling fans in your home? To circulate air. And again, maybe that's, theoretically, maybe it's different in a home than it is in a
It really
pool.
is. It really is. We have a control system that you electronically set to keep air moving, no different than in this room. It's much different in a home. Actually, I think that the ceiling fans are going to detract from your system that you have built in. I mean, that's what you have a control system for on your heating and cooling system. You set it, and the room should stay at a constant temperature. A little bit different than your home. So again, I would. That's why engineers designed this system. I would not put them in, but again, that's the board's decision.
My opinion is based on the first presentation, that makes our decision on this one. I mean, we're gonna have to allocate money for that, unfortunately, and I don't know if we could keep going. I mean, I understand Dr. Hoover's perspective, I understand this, ABMs.
Oh, we didn't pay to fill it.
At least we got the energy people here, right?
My first issue is of more concern because it's a structural issue within the building. Something that needs to be corrected because it's structural. Especially with us putting in the chillers and everything.
And just so everybody knows, I sent an email out, and this all happened at the entire board, so, I don't want people to think they didn't know. I know that I talked to Gary about it. but-
Yeah, and that's why I said I was not doing that. It's really a board, the board,
No.
I'm not,
The concern for me is the dollar amount.
Yeah,
here,
that's not it.
all.
Oh, no, I agree with you.
It's
And again, Rich, I'm gonna put you
No,
on the seat. When we first
no,
talked
I-
about this, there was gonna be no cost to it.
Agreed.
And they were gonna get hooked back up, and really the runs that you're talking about, I mean, just based on, and I'm going off what Dave said, probably are most of the day within 6 foot of where you can get power back to the fan. It's not like you're making a run all the way to an electrical box to get the power back, so I'm not sure where the 45,000 is coming from, but I mean, that's fine, that's what it is, I'm not gonna question that, I mean, you gotta get back in, get it up in the
It
ladder
was-
on every single fan, the whole 9 yards.
My understanding at the time when I said, we'll just cover that cost was because I didn't realize the power was removed from all of them.
Again,
That's where it came from. When Joe said that, I was like, oh, that's a lot different than just,
I'm just
Putting
saying,
them back in.
that was the original.
it was.
Yeah, if this would have been just replace the fans, we wouldn't even be having this
Yeah,
discussion.
and I think too, if it had happened simultaneously where they were cutting the power and demoing it, it would have been a different ballgame. So we would have known. The
Right.
electricians,
No,
you know,
no doubt.
you're in a time where nobody's in the building really watching them, and they went up and did stuff, and nobody just saw that.
Yeah, you're not gonna know they're up there. They're up there for other stuff, and those things just started coming out at the same time while they were in there running wire for the hallway cooling and,
Yeah,
you know,
cutting wire,
the
easy.
other stuff, right?
Hooking it back up's the hard part.
Right.
Like $100,000 net effect to the district, right, from $60,000 loss in savings and then for that aspect. For ceiling fan.
That's fine, just take it out. Well, we
So,
won't-
I guess here's the question, does the committee, we're gonna have a special meeting, so we're gonna have a couple action items. We're gonna have an action item about the chiller issue, okay? At this point, we would not have to have an action item if we remove all of the fans. Does the committee believe that that's the appropriate step, or do they want the fans to stay? Because if they are, then we need to put an action item in to direct ABM to do that.
I think we need to do an action item, because when I was on Putting in the Ground with the other ladies, it was my understanding that they were gonna stay, that the fans weren't gonna come out. Now, I'm new to the committee. And the discussion that we had as a group when we toured everything was that the energy savings would be there because you're not gonna run the air conditioner year round. It's cheaper to run the fans, or to recirculate the air depending on the seasons to pull the hot air out, pull the cool air up. So that was what we discussed, so I think that the ladies need to be included in the
Okay,
discussion.
so we'll have an action item on that item as well. And I think one of the problems is anytime the building gets to the point that what the temperature is outside, some of our building, you have to remember, is interior. Now we're closing windows because of what's going on in society, you know, and everything else. So when you used to think about it when we were all students, at least while I was, some of you probably younger, that maybe you were in air-conditioned buildings, you'd have windows open, teachers had their own fans, and that doesn't take place anymore. So even to have the fans on without having the air conditioner on to cool the building, you're not gonna just be moving air, because you're gonna move hot air. So that's the only reason I really don't believe that the reason that the system was built like it is with air conditioning was to remove all those other factors.
I understand. My concern too is Homeville hasn't had air conditioning yet, and we don't know how cool the rooms are gonna be. Coming from years of being at Homeville, it's stifling in some of those rooms. So I'm curious to see. I'd rather have the fans and be able to turn them on if there's still heating and cooling issues in the rooms than not have the option.
Gina, with all due respect to
Yeah.
ABM, if those rooms cannot reach the appropriate temperatures, the thing is to tell this board that ABM didn't do their job and we should take action against them.
Let's hope that.
Okay? No different than anywhere, and I'm not.
Fair enough. No, not at all.
We-
Fair enough.
Agreed.
You designed it,
Agreed.
if the building's at 90 after you put air conditioning in, somebody on your team doesn't know what they're doing. So that's my only thing. These rooms should all be, doesn't matter if they're in the middle of the building, on the exterior of the building, whatever. And with how, I'm pretty knowledgeable about how these systems are built now and how the control systems work. This room can be one temperature, and maybe the one that has more windows has to get more cooling because, it brings heat from the outside and everything. That's what the engineers.
Does Homeville have that? Is there room controls, or is it like
No, it's individual room control. So each room has its own unit ventilator that has heating and cooling and a damper that, brings some fresh air in. And then it has its own thermostat that the teacher can,
they
Well,
control it?
And well, let's,
within
Let's-
reason, within reason,
reason.
within reason,
Right,
yes.
they can't-
No,
they can go up and down a
Degrees or whatever.
so many amount, if it's, but let's say, my office is, I just had this discussion with the gentleman that handles the heating in our office building. My office, because it's all windows, and the sun hits on that side of the building, it's warm all the time. Where the office right next to mine is not, because they don't get all the sun, they don't have as many windows in the office building, or in their unit. he had to adjust mine differently, temperature-wise, than the other ones, just to get it to cool off. So Sandy can control that, but the teacher won't be able to
Right.
control it, because otherwise we'll have rooms that are 50 degrees and we'll have rooms that are 100 degrees.
Is it functioning now? Is it on now? Everything is.
Well, we're in the process of installing the
So
new
we're not able to
unit
like
vents.
see.
So, yeah, within the next, 3 to 4 weeks, you should have cooling on at home bill as well. You start seeing unit vents. We probably got about a week and a half. If you guys don't mind, I'll give you a quick update of what's going on in the schools.
Yeah, I just, before we jump ahead, just saying like, we have to rule on this $48,000 before we see the result of the air conditioning being installed. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, you can leave the fans in. You can do that. We can leave the fans in.
Crank it up.
They're not
You
gonna
guys
do
are comfortable
anything,
with
but
it?
you can leave them there, and if you're satisfied with how the air conditioning's performing, or not so much, you're gonna be, not,
Yeah, I
You're
don't
going to be
understand what the
satisfied.
question is.
he's saying, can we
I'm
leave
just
the
So
saying-
fans?
keep them there until the air conditioning's cranked up and you guys are satisfied with it, and
Let's
then
not worry
remove it.
about this right now. Air conditioning goes in, Gina goes in, she can see that it's cold. All right, we don't need these fans.
I think that is, here's all I can,
That's all.
here's my only concern.
Are they gonna be here?
Well, if we do not take them out and school starts, here's what it's gonna say on Facebook tomorrow. Okay? They spent X amount of millions of dollars to do this building, and the fans don't even work in my room.
Well, that's.
I'm telling you.
I guess I'm not.
I'm not on social media, so I don't think of
What I'm.
And I really believe that you've paid for engineers to engineer a building to be heated and cooled properly. And their recommendation is not to have fans in there because it's not worth the cost. If the building is not heated or cooled properly, we have a warranty, and they're gonna have to come back and they're gonna have to get it. And that may happen, let's be honest. I've been in brand new construction, that some rooms, you have to go and change the dampers, or you have to do different things to get more airflow into them that you don't expect.
The nice thing about these rooms where everybody has it, there's not a VAV box in the ceiling where you're choking off or starving, where there's one unit. In other words, every classroom has its own unit ventilator, and it's got its own cooling and its own heating. But to Gary's point, you may have a room that's hotter than another, so we may have to adjust, and Sandy would go down and address that with each teacher, and she can raise and lower as they need it. But yes, it's a self-contained situation. It's almost like having your hotel room. You have your little through-the-wall air conditioner, and you can set it to whatever you want. You want it to blow air from outside, or you want it for cooling, heating. So the teachers should be pretty comfortable and be able to keep the students pretty comfortable within the space, with or without fans, really. And that's, well, that's from an engineering perspective how we looked at it.
But again, that's the board's decision. You don't want to take action, you want to leave them there. I'm just concerned that if we don't take them out and then later on don't use them, once the school year starts, we're not going to have people in there all the time. And are they going to get removed properly? Are we going to create more problems? I'm just, sometimes I only tell you these things from problems I've had somewhere else. So I know what comes. And then I know I'm in September or October, and you're looking at me and saying, well, why didn't this get fixed? So that's the only reason I'm telling you that's just, I don't believe there's a lot of new schools that have ceiling fans in the rooms anymore because of putting a system in to handle your cooling and cooling.
So what's the item that we're adding? Is it the code on that?
But what ABM gave us a price for, these items were supposed to be removed.
Yeah, and this is the additional cost for that.
That's correct. Because they started to do the demo, and then the district said, hey, no, we didn't realize we were taking our ceiling fans. And some of the work was already completed, demoing the electrical portion.
special meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, we'll just make it an action item. It doesn't, whatever happens, happens. And I think then we still need to discuss phase 4 on if the board wants to take some type of action to get some of those things done for them.
Well, I'm new to this committee, so I don't know what phase 4 is.
Well, there was a whole list of maybe.
I was trying to get phone calls over the weekend for, trying to call Joe about a list of actually what phase 4 was. For me to get a list.
We had a number of
What the items were.
items that were all part of that.
I would go over some of them.
I think the board need, that's why, the only reason I'm bringing it up was new people involved. I think everybody needs to find out what's going on for you to make good decisions.
I think a couple of the big ticket items that we were asking about was getting the main gym at the high school, auxiliary gym. And originally, that pricing included all the girder system and support system that were up in the ceilings. And then once we saw that price, I think everybody thought it was a little bit too expensive. And we asked to get that redone just by painting 30 foot up on the wall up to the bottom of the girders going around on both gyms. I haven't seen the revised pricing in that, so I don't know where we're at with that. But again, there was a lot of controversy surrounding.
Well, I think then what the district asked for was if that happened in the gym, could a press box and a concession stand be added? And then I think that they were working towards
of the painting the.
in place of the additional painting.
Yeah, if we were gonna say, I think it's gonna say, I don't care what you think, but I think it would save a significant amount of money.
It was probably $100,000 savings, and I'm just throwing a number, so please don't hold me. And they were looking if they could do that other work. I think because of, I don't think it ever moved anywhere because then the board, the committee kind of broke apart a little bit here. And I think before we, at least I was comfortable, and I think before the superintendent was comfortable of saying, okay, do we want to do that or not? Because I was getting phone calls that people were not in favor of a concession stand or a press box. And to be quite frank, I wasn't going to keep asking people to keep giving us numbers and without any direction from everybody. So we've been trying to get this meeting for a couple weeks now, and that's where we're at. So I think that the board needs to say what they want to get done or what they don't want to get
Yeah,
done.
there's a little more to this too. I mean, yeah, I think the other big item is the wall behind home build. I want to say, and I may be wrong, come out to be about 700,000. I mean, it's a big wall. There's no doubt about it. And it's not just a matter of there's going to have to be some engineering, I think, involved in that because of the size of it and the deterioration is down on the bottom of it. It's not like it's on the top. So somebody's got to figure that out. And then we were talking about painting it or paving over the maintenance garage, redoing the library flooring.
The bathrooms in the one building.
Yeah,
At
stalls.
one point,
And tile work.
the administration asked to get the stalls, whatever they call it, the dividers.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they call it. To get those replaced because they were bad, rusty, not good looking. And then in one of the meetings like this, it was, well, we're going to do that. A lot of the tiles cracked and that needs to be fixed. So then they wanted the bathrooms renovated. And I think that was what the final price was.
Mhm.
And then it was because of how much the wall outside and how much the gym painting, all those other issues got stopped as well. And the board just needs to give some direction on what they
Well,
want.
who's quoting all that work?
Maybe.
So you guys have a list of everything that we've asked you for phase 4.
Yeah, the contractor who developed it with Dr. Hoover gave me the list and I turned around and passed it over to you guys.
So I still have a list.
We
I
have,
don't have a copy of that. If we could get.
If we get copies, but then we can look and see what's right now.
I think we'll get you the list, that's not a problem. I think one of the questions that at least I have, because I think the list may need amended.
It does need amended.
And here's what I think, at least a couple of the issues are, and maybe what we can do is send you that list, and then Dr. Hoover and Sandy could meet with them and with the contractor and say, okay, here's what other things we're looking at. Let's get one final idea for you guys to review and talk about. But one of the issues was that does the board want to look into the concession stand and press box for the high school gym?
There's no one in this district that wants it.
No,
What's that?
There's no one in this
not only
district that wants
have, not only, we're gonna have to, this is how to, buddy.
Matt,
That's not.
I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with, I'm just saying that was an issue and I don't want to come to the meeting and you look at me and say, Gary, why didn't you get us a price on this? So that's the only reason I'm asking what you want on that list.
So I guess my question is, we have little under $2 million remaining, correct?
Mhm.
And we still have that issue at the middle school hanging over our heads, right?
That's correct.
And would it be prudent of us to save some of that money in the event that it has to be allocated to that? Or, I mean, are we allowed to use that money to fix that issue?
You could use that money only for construction issues, buying the equipment, those type of things. So,
I'm sorry.
We're talking about this, all.
structure.
The front building.
So,
upstairs.
I personally think, my thought is that phase 4, there's really 3 components to it, in my opinion. The one component was paying the gym and I'm just saying for it's in a column, I'm not saying to do it, but painting the gym and since we're discussing the gym, if anybody wants pricing for the concession stand and or press box. Component 1. Component 2 is that wall outside. It needs fixed, but it's needed fixed for a long time. Is that the best place to spend money today? That's a board decision, it's not my decision. That's component 2. Component 3, there is a number of small pieces on that list. The bathroom, the paving, that are combined are several $100,000. And the reason I say there were 3 components, if you look at it, each one was about a third of what that whole phase 4 was originally. So I think it would be advisable to bring that all to the board and then say, hey, yeah, all those, I really think the small things, what happened is some of them, you fixed all kind of stuff and then this little thing didn't get worked on. And there's $20,000 worth of work that needs to be done. I'm just throwing a number. All of them together finish all of your projects inside kind of work. Then that wall, and that's something, and what you want to do in the gym, that's your discussion. You may say, hey, let's save both. Let's save one of those components or all 3 of those components and save that money in case the middle school. That middle school is a whole nother issue. We've had discussions. Any further of my discussions about the middle school issue, I'd like to do an executive session because clearly we're going to get into litigation there and I don't want to tell you publicly what some of those issues are. But so that's something that the board can decide, but I don't think you can make that decision until you see the whole list.
Can we prioritize if you say to get a list from the
Yep.
administration?
We'll have
We
that.
can move on from.
We'll try to get it to you sometime tomorrow, no later than the following day. And then, because this way it can be part of that special meeting discussion.
Can you, I don't know if you could explain what that $700,000 is like. I mean, TJ built a wall outside their football stadium that's ginormous for $1 million. That wall comes up to here. So, I mean, I know it's not your expertise, but.
I wasn't involved in developing the scope on this at all. I was just given the quote from the contractor, based off the conversations with Dr.
I just,
Cooper.
I mean,
I just
I don't know,
turned it around
what's
for you
first,
guys.
is that just rehabbing?
I they were gonna redo that whole wall,
Oh, okay.
from my understanding.
That's
I
right.
personally, at this point, I think that my personal belief is that you should not do that wall. And you should save that money and see where we're at with the middle school. Worst case scenario is next year we could go and look at that wall again. Okay, that's just my opinion, because that middle school is a concern.
You mentioned 2.3 billion, I just don't know the phases, I'm sorry.
I believe we're a little bit over.
Is there just
1.6.
four
We're
phases?
1.7.
Phase
We're at
five.
Yeah, 1.6.
We're shy.
Yeah,
And that's money we have to spend on.
correct. That was part of the bond issue.
Yes.
Got it,
But it doesn't have to necessarily be spent today.
for sure.
3
Um,
years or something.
Well, the majority of it does, so even if you, and I think that we've reached that point, okay, or we're very close, but you could still keep a portion of that money in your construction fund in case we have an issue with the middle school. So that's why I think that we have to, I think it's, for you to do your due diligence, I think the administration needs to provide you the list of all the things, tell you why these things need to still be looked at, and then you make a decision on what's the most important.
Yeah, and if we could get the list and have sort of the administration's recommendations of course, therefore, that'd be good. Pricing.
I would put, personally, I would put that wall last.
Number 10 or 12.
Okay, and I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done, and I'm not saying that the reason to look at it, again, just 4 months ago, we were in a different position than we are today with the COVID issue and with this beam issue that we didn't know 4 months ago when we looked at trying to,
So I'd add this to the list. I mean,
yeah, that,
some cost is getting on that list,
Yeah, we can add.
and probably at the top.
And obviously, some of the stuff on the list that, we thought we would get done this summer, it's not gonna get done this summer because we're running out of time. You have to kind of plan in March, February to get some of that stuff done. So some of those things aren't going to be done.
So we can still keep the money if we know we're gonna spend it next year, that's okay, next summer.
we can, here's the thing, I think that we're at a percentage that we don't have to worry, or we're very close. We still know that we have to do some of these issues. So I think that we'll be fine about that. That's not a concern about making sure that we spend it. We've clearly done our work to spend the money. What the law is there for is they don't want a school district to go out and finance something because rates are good.
Right.
And put the money in the bank and then never use it. That's not what the intent was. So we've clearly shown that we're spending money to fix that.
Steve, can you put together everything too that was amassed in that giant list when we were planning to go to all the buildings and writing down a list of everything, where we are project wise? Do you have something like that compiled?
I can't remember how.
What you got it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will say one of the things that we may add to the list, that wasn't on it before, is there's some buckling of the carpet in the high school main office and the guidance office. And it's because when they shut off the heat, what ends up happening before, or they shut off the air, the heat and humidity builds up in the offices and it starts, I say possible, what they call wave or something like that, which is a tripping hazard, and they don't go back down. So we may take a look at putting in vinyl tile, take the carpet out, put in vinyl tile. Which again, that's a minimal cost, quite frankly, if you're making that kind of transition. So it's not going to be a.
Especially because we were looking at doing that in the library.
Right.
Yeah. So the cost of it would be.
And you have to remember that carpet's 20-some years old now, so that's,
Yeah, it's really broken down.
and that's
Yeah,
something that we
Barn
would
broke down.
obviously put in our, our capital projects fund every year, like up the window, bill the towels, tile floors, we're going 3 classrooms a year. Those are the types of things that I normally put in a capital projects budget. So then when we have this money, we just kind of added it into their best end of discussion with all of you about that.
Are there any other issues tonight you'd like to bring up?
Let's hope not.
Meeting adjourned.
Excuse me.